When I'm involved in brawls, I start glowing. Your broads are like where you're going. What you're holding ain't the cards showing. What's the Brouhaha? What's the Brouhaha? I gotta go, stop your moaning. Gotta push up more weight than Hogan. Don't stop till I'm on late with Conan. What's the Brouhaha?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Brouhaha. We have here the whole Akaash Singh situation between him and Myron Gaines. If you don't know who these guys are, Fresh and Fit is a big channel in the red pill manosphere space. So you can Google that and get caught up with background on that. And with Akaash Singh, he has a channel with Andrew Schultz called Flagrant 2. I believe. I used to check their stuff out. I remember when Andrew Schultz was with, and I think they still collaborate, but I remember when he was on with Charlemagne the God from the Breakfast Club on Hot 97, and so that's the background. So they've been having this beef. I was there for the beginning of the beef during back when Fresh and Fit made comments about black women, about dating black women, or in this case, not dating black women, or not their preference, not being black women. So just to give you some background, and I've been following this, and I've been meaning to comment because it's a perfect example of what's happening out here with guys that are more mainstream pilled, that are more sort of aligned with the mainstream narrative, as it pertains to outside women, to modern women or modern dating, which again, this channel doesn't advocate for dating, no paying, no dating. But if you're from the outside, or if you're just a layman, or if you're just an everyday person and you're just happen upon this channel, you might still have those notions of, oh, everything is normal. We're just men and women traversing the world and we're doing our best and everything is an isolated individual situation. I would beg to differ. So as you stick with this channel, you'll see that no, there are dynamics at play where men and women behave differently when they're outside, or just natural, innately men and women behave differently. But also you take into consideration how women behave when they're outside without family versus when they're inside with family. So this is a great example of that. Now, this has been going on for the past few weeks or so. So I want to piggyback off of this Sartain channel. And for background on Sartain, he is the second half of the Rollo Tomasi Access Vegas channel. So you can check that out too. And this particular post, I'll leave down in the description so you can click on it and go to the original content. So Sartain has background in the nightclub industry. He's former military, right? He has background in the nightclub scene, and his push is like social circle game. And these are all figures in the manosphere red pill space. So now that we know all the players, let's dive into this. Of all the posts I've seen covering this latest post I came across succinctly covers it from the initial, from where everyone is currently in terms of red pill. And then I'm going to give my extra take on my augmentation to the red pill, where the red pill isn't concise as it should be, and it needs to be re-examined and updated and made bulletproof and made more concise and more thorough and more effective. And it needs to further align with what's really happening, with the deeper truth. So let's jump into it. Let's see what this Akaash Singh situation is all about and how detrimental it can be when you're running around out here and you don't have a firm grip on what you're dealing with and what's outside, what's really happening out here. So let's get into it, right? I will be breezing through certain things, especially the setup areas, because again, the URL will be in the description. So let's jump right into it and see how this all plays out.
with Andrew Schultz, and they're pretty interesting, pretty funny. It's a very big, very popular podcast. That's the only thing I want to start off in the beginning. So I'm gonna show you some clips about when they had Myron and Fresh on. This is where this thing sort of originated, so you guys can understand the ethos of what it is that we're talking about here.
What I find corny is my preference is not my women. Now, I thought it was I'm not dating my women, period, which is the corniest human being outside of a criminal to me, period. Those are your roots. Those women are reflected in your roots. So if you're saying, hey, I don't generally date them, but I have more space for it, even though I still think it's a little corny.
Akaash only dates brown.
Okay, first off, let me give you
So nutty to me. This is so nutty to me that Flagrant's position is that, oh, you should somehow date or mess with black women because you're black, and not doing so makes you corny or somehow it's some negative thing. Now, off rip, I don't think it's any guy's business, anybody's business, or anybody's authority to tell anybody who they should mess with on that level, on the level of race, on the level of background. It's none of your business. As an adult, as an individual adult, it's none of your business who you mess with or who a man especially chooses to engage with on a physical level, etc. So that's that. And then even for the sort of carve out for the portion of society that's involved in the LGBTQ stuff, listen, once you're an adult, it's up to you to deal with whatever past afflictions you're dealing with. And so in a first world country, an adult should be able to deal with whatever they have going on with them in their own private space. Now, do I think LGBTQ stuff should be pushed onto children? No, I don't. That's a big mistake. A lot of companies and propaganda and campaigns, governmental campaigns, companies, corporations, businesses, universities, schooling, education, private business, education, politics, politicians, government, a lot of them that are doing that, I don't think history will look kindly on that. That's a mistake. Adults haven't figured that out, and you're pushing it onto kids is a massive mistake. Massive mistake. It's just that the money is going in that direction and corporations are cowardly. Listen, I'm pro capitalism. I'm pro any individual or corporation or business getting their money, making money, no problem. But that doesn't mean you have a blank check on what's right and wrong, on morality, on what's sustainable and what isn't. And when it comes to kids, it's very sensitive. It's a very delicate thing. And most often, you should err on the side of do less. Do no harm and do less. Leave the kids out of it. It's the biggest red flag to have the brilliant idea to introduce something that's not naturally occurring to children. That's just, if you know nothing at all, just leave the kids out of it. But it just shows you the level of arrogance that we're at as a society, where you think as long as this entity or this corporation or this individual is making millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands or millions or billions or trillions, then we can do no wrong and everything goes. And I think that's a massive Achilles heel, is a massive mistake. So with that being said, it's corny. It's ridiculously corny and whack as that Akaash is dictating to two grown-ass dudes who they should date, who they should mess with, who they should date, who they should find attractive. It's really just on this level, on the level of just preferences and who you date. Really, he needs to mind his business. He's an Indian guy telling black dudes how to assess their culture or their group of people or their background, their neighborhood. Brother, you should mind your business. Stay out of it. Mind your business. You have no idea what you're talking about. Mind your business. You don't understand the dynamics that are taking place in the black community. Mind your business. Stay out of it. Mind your business. On another post, we can get into the optionality found in the black community. We can get into it. That's a separate topic. But for now, just so that we're clear, he was on shaky ground from the beginning. And it's really, I'm telling you, man, this guy has an inflated sense of his positioning as it pertains to navigating the sexual landscape. Now let's let it continue and see what else transpires.
Give you guys a little bit of a background with this. This was Akaash's response to what Myron said. But I want to show you this first. I want to give Akaash's side first so you can see exactly where I'm coming from with it.
Akaash has been with one girl in his life who is his wife.
That's my wife. That's an
So
Indian
this
woman.
is
that was
like
important to
loyal
me.
through and through.
Okay.
And I understand it's not as important for y'all, but as an Indian, there's not a lot of us who are famous. So whether you like it or not, people are looking at you as a role model. You guys have established yourselves as role models, from simps to pimps, which is another.
Look at Myron's body language. It's like, give me a break, bro. Like, what, you kidding me? Look at his body language, bro. He's like, shut the up, bro. He's like, bro, shut the up, man. This is incredible. But let's let it play. Let's let it continue.
This motto I find kind of corny, but I looked into what you guys are about. And a lot of the shit is just childish.
Okay, so the other thing I want to point out here before we get to this, notice how he clips this up, because this is kind of like a best of highlight reel of him putting Myron and Fresh in their place. But notice how he does this. So at first he talks about childish and corny.
Which is fine if you want to be funny. We just talk about how doctors ain't shit for 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We are not in any way life coaching. We are not in any way trying to help men outside of, hey, come have a laugh for a couple hours.
Right.
If you're going to paint yourself as life coaches and then say shit like, my preference is, which is honestly is, I don't want.
Now, one more thing, I want to point this out. They're not life coaches. They're just telling life coaches how to be life coaches.
to date black girls. That's the way every black dude that white girls says it. I've dated black girls in my life. All right, bro. Who the hasn't except me? You know what I mean? Everybody gonna dabble in everything. It is the mentality that I have an issue with. And Alex is upset with the specific words, true, but underneath it, he's upset with the mentality. And a lot of stuff you guys say in general, I think is stuff that's kind of childish. I saw a clip where you were like, oh, the nuclear family's falling apart. What do? I don't get married. Just don't get
Notice that there was a jump cut there. We're going to get to what was in that jump cut here in a second.
married. You actually trying to help men, or you talking to fucking incels who are 18 years old? That's some shit you say to college. I'm going to turn you from a simp to a pimp. All right, bro. Can we grow up? You guys are self-help. You are, hey, we're trying to help men. So either we're funny or help men, and be real and be honest with yourself.
Okay, first off, we're going to keep showing.
Well, first of all, it's not either that. They don't, bro, this is YouTube. This is YouTube. And so you can be anything you want to be. And the only determiner is the market. So it's not either or. It's not like, who's this motherfucker think he is? Like, it's not like, what the is this? Like, how does he have the authority or the sense of entitlement to dictate the terms? It's like, no, they can be a self-help channel that periodically dips into comedy or giving their personal take on something. You could do, it's the Wild West. It's the Wild West out here. And the audience determines what's viewable and what's not, for the most part, outside of YouTube's terms of service agreements and all that stuff. So those are the two real actual layers that are happening in the real world, where YouTube has its terms. So if you got past that, then that's it. That's your channel. And you can say pretty much anything you want within that. And then aside from that, it's the audience. It's the viewership, the audience, it's the eyeballs. It's the engagement, it's the clicks, it's whatever it is. So it's the market. So that's just, he just has voices in his head. That's all that is. So right away, you know, he's just coming from this very odd place of, I guess he is protecting their position as flagrant. I guess a lot of females view that channel. I've caught a few shows back in the day. I haven't been catching any of their stuff recently, and that's no knock on them. It's just there's a lot out here at any given moment. You can't get to everything. But from what I understand, I think they're still successful. So it's no knock on them, but you don't have the high ground to tell a bunch of grown men what to do in their personal lives, in their personal dating lives, first and foremost. And then even on the level of their channel, they talk about bad behavior from women. And so if they have a personal take on who they feel has the most bad behavior, to the point where they have kind of have a unanimous position of not really dealing with black females, then so be it. I mean, it's just really, really so whack, bro. He's in a bubble. He's in a bubble, and that's fine. We've all stumbled into bubbles and been in bubbles at some point in our lives. I know I've been in a bubble at various points in my life, so I get it. But so now that we have background on how the Myron versus Akaash situation is unfolding, and just the Akaash situation, really. So now that we have background on Akaash and where he's coming from, we're going to start to see what he's allowed in his own life, on who he chose to marry, who he chose to commit to. And invariably, we're going to realize that she's an outside chick. That's the bottom line. She is an outside chick. So yeah, let's let it play and let's see if we can cover one more point, and then I'll cut it short and I'll make subsequent parts.
But just for a second, I want to point this out. Like, they had an opportunity to have these guys on their show, and they were like, hey, you guys want to come on the show? And you can see Myron and Fresh's face. They're basically being scolded. So at the time this comes out, Flagrant is a big podcast. Fresh and Fit is big, but not nearly as big. And then they say, hey, would you guys like to come on our big podcast? Same thing with me. This is kind of what it would feel like. If Joe Rogan or Andrew Huberman or Lex Friedman or Diary of a CEO or Chris Williamson asked me to come on their show. And then once I got on their show, they had a special guest they didn't tell me about. And that special guest then started ambushing me, asking me questions that I wasn't prepared for and didn't expect. And I had to sit there and be scolded because I'm the smaller creator going on the bigger creators podcast. And for any of you who are like, oh, well, they only went on the show for clout. Everyone does. Andrew Schultz went on Joe Rogan for clout. That's just how the podcasting world works.
And he'll go into his further takes on this, and it's a good watch. So if you want to check it out, click the URL in the description, and he goes into further details. But beyond that, I want to fast forward to the actual Akaash's allowances, his commitment, his allowances in who he deals with in his personal life, who he's committed to, his judgment when it comes to assessing chicks, assessing women, because he's getting on two guys for having a understandable take, having an understandable outlook. Now, listen, there are some black females who you can build a family with, but like all females, you have to go far and wide to find them. And you probably are not going to find them in American culture and Western culture. You most likely will have to go to a culture that is still has family values at its core, to the point where women are with their families before and during marriage. Good luck finding any chick in America that fits that paradigm or that life program, that fits that dynamic. Good luck finding that. That's the larger conversation in this whole thing. And this is really what and it's so nutty. That's why it's a tough game out here. And there's no disrespect to him either, because we all learning. We all are learning. And it's funny when you are learning something publicly. I get it. We all learning. So, but we have to take each other through the paces to get up to speed on what's happening out here. And so he started from thinking he's has some high ground on some Anakin Skywalker shit. He thinks he has the high ground when he absolutely does not. And he's doing this way too much, doing this jumping maneuver of some kind, while we have the high ground, and he's going to get his appendages clipped. He's going to get his legs and his arms clipped, or his legs and his arm clipped. And he's going to be on the side of a hill burning up, saying, I hate you, because he's misaligned. He's badly positioned to the truth. He's badly positioned to the truth. He's not aligned with the truth. That's what's really underpinning all of this. So let's find the part where we start to get into his current relationship, his marriage, what he allows in his life, and his level of judgment. Let's get into that and let's see what's good.
When a man is weird about periods, that's a red flag.
Okay, so this is the first part of this post that we see his lady. And it is terrible. Now, I've seen other videos of her. I've seen other clips of her. Let me rewind this a little bit more. My initial read of her instantly is terrible. Now, again, any outside chick, you shouldn't be taken seriously. You shouldn't be dating her. You shouldn't be paying. You shouldn't be giving her gifts or any of that nonsense. She shouldn't live with you. You shouldn't be marrying her. You shouldn't have kids with her. So when you're dealing with outside chicks, you should just position yourself. If you're going to engage with them, you just position yourself as just physical, just to hang out, just sex. So you either pull her or you don't, and that's fine if you don't. So if you're gonna engage with her, it's just purely for hooking up. It's just purely for the physical, just to get busy. So now the only position an outside chick can really have is the side chick. Any guy that's fully aware of what's happening out here, the only position of consistency that an outside chick can have in your life is that of a side chick, where you just see her once or twice a week. She comes through, you beat it up, you smash, you get slobbed off, you just hook up. That's it. And she moves on and you move on. And she could repeat the process subsequent weeks. That's the highest you'll get out here while remaining in a safe position. So obviously he went past that to the point where he married her and he took her seriously. So they introduced themselves to each other's families, etc., etc. So we're gonna get wind of how she moves, how she operates, what she thinks is okay. And again, at this point, the only thing she can really be is a side chick. But there's a spectrum to side chicks. So is she going to be a decent side chick, or is she going to be a not so great side chick that you inevitably have to get rid of, that you have to move on from? So that's really the only that I'm judging, because off the rip, she's terrible. She's a terrible person. And that really shows you where he's at. He doesn't have a lot of grounding. Now, I've never seen his act. I've never seen his comedy. I don't sense that it's going to be great. You know what I mean? But hey, maybe he's really good on stage. But just off rip, typically comics who are really good usually have a firmer grip on reality than the comics that are shabby. So right now I'm not seeing it, because he's not able. All the comics that you know that are funny, big names, mid names, they will be able to see through this stuff. Dave Chappelle, Seinfeld, Patrice O'Neal especially, Bill Burr, you name it. Name any comic that you find hilarious and tell me if they would fall for this. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, let's let her represent herself and see what it's about, because it's really nutty.
You guys have experience with women. I married the first woman I was with. I got married as a virgin, but I'm going to tell you how you should be instructing men about women. That comes off as a little sanctimonious to me. So here we're going to go to the next part right here, where I'm sure almost all of you have seen this.
My wife also hadn't had any sexual partners, so that helped us connect a lot more.
Now, let me ask you this.
And
Do you believe her?
If you've seen her, then it's hard to believe.
If a man is weird about periods, that's a red flag. Break up with him immediately.
Oh, Tristan, why are you laughing? Tristan, what's going on? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing,
Man,
Tristan?
bro.
What's so funny about that?
Wait, keep playing it. Keep playing it.
Remember,
Keep playing it.
He came out and said, let me say this. Let me stop real quick.
I mean, this is so nutty. What did she say? Any man that's squeamish about period, break up with him immediately. I mean, that whole statement is nuts on so many levels, because no guy should be committing to a chick who's outside anyway. So that's just completely, again, when chicks have this authoritarian high ground position or moral high ground position, is from the position of, oh, I choose who I get into a relationship with. But any awake guy, any guy who can see through what's happening out here isn't trying to get into a relationship with you. He's just trying to poke around to see if you'll follow him. And of course, listen, I tell you, when you're out there, you should just get the blowjob. Get the blowjob, because getting the blowjob would circumvent all of this period nonsense. But even then, even if she's gonna give you the cheeks or the lower level, the box, yeah, it's perfectly healthy for a man to prefer that it's not during any part of your menstruation time. So that's just so ghoulish. It's so ghoulish, and it's so her shame. She's trying to rope you into her shame and her inadequacy. And that's what happens when you follow women. When you follow women, you get all the baggage, all the downside. You have to like her period. You have to rub it all over yourself and get it all over your face to make her feel better about herself somehow. And it still doesn't make her feel good about herself. So you don't win. When you follow women, you don't win. And you have to sit through this scolding, nagging, corrupt garbage, this utter backwards, regressive garbage. There's nothing good that comes from following a female who's outside or trying to win over some female who's outside. The only position, not just the better position, but the only sane position, if you're going to engage with chicks, is to not follow her. Learn to engage with women without following them. And it's just a stance. So even if things are going well and she's laughing at your jokes and your quips and she's giving you good feedback, even if she flips it on you, don't follow her. Just end it and move on and talk to the next chick until you get a chick who actually will follow you, who will follow you from the middle of the street to the side of the building, from the side of the building to inside the building. If it's raining, if it's cold, if it's raining, or if it's the summer, to the fountain, or if it's in a warm environment, to the fountain, and then inevitably home, and for free, without dating, without paying. Find a chick who's going to follow you. When you follow a chick, like Akaash has done, then she's going to dictate the terms, and it's always terrible. Is you accepting everything. You have to rub her period blood all over your face, all over you, and humiliate yourself and walk around with her period blood all over you, just to make her feel better about herself. Instead of just realizing that, oh, you know, it's perfectly normal for guys not to want to experience that. Just like if a guy has the runs or if he has diarrhea, he doesn't want to burden people with that. That's just human decency. Handle that before you are dealing with people. Handle that in your personal time, in your privacy. So let me end it here because it's getting a little long and because there's more to cover from this, but that's the gist of it. But we can get into the weeds of it because it's still interesting so that people can see what it looks like. So guys can see what it looks like to be misaligned with what's really happening out here. So I'll continue this in subsequent posts. So don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you next time.